G'day guys, what's cracking? It's Ralph here, and tonight, and I say tonight because it is currently 10:08 p.m. I have a little bit of a cold going on, but I am unboxing for you and talking about the Nikon Z30, the vlogger's delight. I just made that up. Nikon, you can use it if you love it, but just every time you do your stash, RMAQ photography. That'd be great. Let's get into it. This is a DX camera. So DX is crop sensor and FX is full frame, and also another name for this is APS-C. This current camera is the smallest and the most recent of the Nikon line, and it is the bottom of the range when it comes to the APS-C, but it has some cool features which may be really helpful to you. So let's get into it. And here we go. This is always the fun bit, isn't it? It's like, oh, get my hands on the camera. Oh, brand new camera, and it feels light. It only weighs 405 grams when it's fully loaded with the battery and the card in it. Obviously, it doesn't come with a card. It only takes UHS 1 cards and not 2 cards, which means it can't buffer as quick, it can't hold information as quick, so it's just a bit slower. It's a bit of a surprise that they did that. It would have been nice if they'd allowed for faster cards, but you get what it is. It's a specialized camera and it's made for vloggers. It's made intentionally with the thought in mind that someone who wants to shoot video on a regular basis at 4K up to 30 frames a second would use this camera. It also does 1080p up to 120 frames a second, so you get a 6 slow-mo option with this if you want to take it. Other things in the box include the lens, of course. This is a DX 16-50, which is similar to a 24-70. It's a roaming aperture from 3.5 up to 6.3. That means 3.5 works at 16, and when you get up to 50, you only have an aperture available of 6.3, and you turn this to pop it out. And so when you turn your camera on, it will tell you it can't work until you pop it out. We also have the Nikon Z strap, but I always prefer Peak Designs straps and their anchor points, and I'll put a link in the description below because you've got to get into them if you haven't already. They're a game changer. And finally, the battery to make it all work. And this is a USB to USB-C cable, which enables you to charge the camera. It doesn't come with a charger. You have to charge it via the cable. So let's do a little bit of a walkthrough so you can get familiar with the camera if you're not already. It has an on and off dial like every camera. It has a larger record button, which is super helpful if you're vlogging, if that's the focus that you're going for. Again, your shutter button is right there, and it has a nice grip to it. It feels tiny. You could put the lens on this like this, and you have yourself a nice little compact camera. Like, that is tiny and can fit in your pocket if you have a big pocket. Not if you wear skinny jeans. You will have no chance putting this in your pocket if you wear skinny jeans, but if you've got like a jacket on or a hoodie, or it can fit in a smaller space in your camera bag than a average lens fits. So that's super handy. On top you have auto, PS, which is shutter, aperture, manual. You have 3 custom settings. So if you want to have a slow-mo setting, you want to have your 4K video setting, and then you want to have a photo setting, then bang on, that's what you can do. On the back, we have a choose between the stills and the video. Display changes to display with the rubbish bin thing, and the selection of what sort of shooting you'd like to do, which is also with a function button connected to the timer. I would have liked to have seen the play button over here, because when you're vlogging, you want to easily access, and this one can be hard to find. So it kind of would be nice if it was sort of by itself out here and you could just press it, or even underneath, so you wouldn't have to go in front of the camera. Just underneath, just playback right here. Nikon, playback right here. Next camera, maybe. Yeah, who am I kidding? We don't have a joystick. Instead, we have the dial here, which takes care of all that. We have back button focus if we choose. We have zoom in, zoom out, playback, and the menu. And here is the cool thing. This is the screen. The screen is fully articulating. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, so nice. So nice. Now it feels kind of plasticky. It doesn't feel like it's got the weight of a Z5 or Z6, or even, I'm looking around for the camera that I'm filming this on, which brings me to the point of why I bought the Z30. I bought this camera because I actually want to use this to shoot my vlogs rather than my ZFC. And the reason is, and ZFC people, you might get upset with me now, but it's just annoying that all the functionality isn't where you expect it to be. And I know that's the point of that camera, but I'm so used to shooting on a Z5, a Z6 or a Z9 that when it comes to vlogging, I just naturally want to do these things, and I have to rethink the way I do it with my ZFC. Now, I'm actually going to do a comparison video because I've also picked up a Z50 in the last couple of days. So I'm going to do a comparison between the ZFC, the Z50 and the Z30 to see what the differences are. One, of course, is it has no electronic viewfinder on the Z30. Now, the reason they have taken that away is because they believe that vloggers and video creators don't use their eyepiece, which is pretty much true. I find it pretty easy to compose a shot using the screen outside rather than tucking my eye in, although when it comes to photos, I always prefer to shoot through the eyepiece rather than the screen. I think that's because it gives me a clearer pull-in to what I'm actually doing when I'm photographing, but with video I tend to always use the screen, so I like that the screen can be used in all manner of ways. It has a buckle here that you can attach your strap to, and the same with over here. If we look underneath, we have our 1/4-20 tripod mount. We have a battery pack that also has the card slot hidden in there, and so the battery just slots in there as you like. Nice and easy. We have a front aperture dial, which is really nice on the lower end cameras. When Nikon first developed, say, the D50 that I was actually playing with the other day, which is like a prehistoric camera, it doesn't have a front dial. So to access the aperture, you have to press a function button here and go the back. So it's really cool that they've maintained the front dial and the back dial. They've also got ISO on top, which is easy to get to, and your exposure compensation, even though I still think that is a overrated function and button on a camera, given it can't work when you're using manual. Just seems bizarre to me. Also has a hot shoe. Hot shoe, you can mount a flash to it, obviously. You can also use this as a cold shoe mount, so you can put a microphone or a light on that, or you can put a little funky thing that gives you the ability to put a microphone on the side. So if you've got a microphone, you've got to be able to plug it in somewhere, and this is where the side controls come in handy. So if you look at that, it has a USB-C and it has a mini HDMI, so you can use HDMI out if you choose to in your USB-C, but in here we have the microphone out. This also comes with stereo microphones, so we're going to go outside and see what this is like and run it through its paces in just a jiffy. Right here, don't know if you can see it, this is called a tally light. A tally light tallies, I don't know, it just tells you if the camera's working or not. The Z9, you're videoing, you're shooting, you don't even know if it's working. You probably do. There's probably a function in the menu where you can do it, but this has a tally light, so it basically says yes, we're shooting now, you're recording now, which is super helpful. It's also got this information button, and so you can program your screen to be as customized as you like with the functionality and the settings that you use on a frequent basis. You can just plug them all in there when you're whacking in to the menu. And it has these two little function buttons here which you can deal with your middle two fingers, and so I use them fairly frequently to select things on the screen that I want to access really quickly. I find that's a really good hack and well worth looking into. What functions do you most use? Stick them here and here, and you can look like a ninja. You're just like, and people go, whoa, how did you do that? And you're like, yeah. So the battery on this camera enables you to shoot 330 shots or 75 minutes of recording time. Now the camera itself, aside from the battery limitations, the camera itself can shoot 125 minutes at 1080p at 30 frames a second, or 35 minutes at 4K at 30 frames a second, which means you need to plug it into an external power source as you use it. So you can use the camera whilst it's being charged and fed off an external power source, and that's also how you need to charge it, by plugging it into an external power source, and it just sits there and is ready to go. Well, the charger is sold separately, which is a bit of a pill, but is what it is, right? Get one if you need one, if the USB-C doesn't do it for you. It also doubles as a webcam, so this can be used as a webcam, and again reinforcing that desire for vloggers and YouTubers and so forth to use this camera to present themselves via video onto the internet. Currently, it's available, the body only, for $710, and then you put this lens on and it jumps up to $850, and you can have a variety of other options, which leads you to $1,200. That's obviously all US dollars, but you can pick this up. I think Black Friday sales are coming up, so you can probably pick up yourself a real bargain if you're thinking, yeah, this is the camera that I want. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump outside and take it through its paces and just see if it is the camera that you want to buy for you, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll be like yes or no, and thank you, Ralph, that makes sense. Thanks for joining me as we step outside. First of all, the tally light is bright red, so you can tell when you're filming. When you stop filming, it goes off. Second of all, the eye detect I think works really well. It picks me up, no stress at all. I turn self-portrait mode off so I can have full control of the camera whilst looking into the screen, so I'd encourage you to do that through the settings menu, and you go to self-portrait mode, turn that off, disable it. It has stereo sound built in, so it should be able to pick me up nice and clearly. There's not a lot of ambient noise around. It's pretty calm today. I'm going to stick a Rode microphone on the camera, and we'll see if that improves the audio at all. Alright, so we've now got an external microphone plugged into the audio in, and is there much difference in sound quality between this and this? Is this much better, or when you plug the microphone in like this, is it better? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Can the Z30 survive without an external microphone? Well, I'm going to do the rest of this video without the external microphone, and we shall see. Let's get on to photography. So this morning I came out to these beautiful surrounds just a little bit down from my place, and I took some photos. There was some geese here, so I shot them at 11 frames per second on the tracking function. So you will see from these photos whether the tracking holds the geese as the geese fly past and away from me. You also see the quality. It was really quite strange because I use my eye finder, my EVF on my other cameras, to look in at the quality of a photo, because you can zoom right in and your whole eye globe is occupied by the photo. With this you can't. You only have the screen, you only have the limit of the brightness of the screen, and so there is a sense of like you wouldn't buy this for photography primarily. You just wouldn't, because of the limitation of the EVF, but it is great that it can do photography at the same time. It has a 20 megapixel sensor, which is really good for photography. Means you can zoom in to get some quite detail. The challenge is you're not sure if you picked up that detail when you first shoot, but you can use the plus button on the back of the camera when you put it on preview mode to zoom in and see if what you have taken is in focus. So you have that at your disposal. Let me just check the eye tracking on this a bit. If it's all glary and then it comes to me, so I focus up there on that tree, it's touchscreen focus, so I pull it back to me. How quick does it pick up my eyes? Hasn't yet. This is on follow focus, so I should be able to at some stage. Nope. Why can't it do that? Now if I just tap my face, then it brings up my eyes. That's a significant challenge with this camera, isn't it? So yes, just check the settings, and the camera, there's no reason why it shouldn't be able to automatically pick up my eye. So if the focus is picked up on, say, those trees back there, and I touch the screen, and so now it's picked up on those trees and I'm blurry because the aperture is 3.5, but I can't get it off that just by jumping. Like, even if I move out of that so it loses the tracking, it's searching, but it's not picking up my eye. Now it might be that it's low light, so let me turn auto ISO on and see if that makes a difference. And the auto ISO stays at 100, so the camera's happy with the exposure, but it doesn't. I have to hit myself in the face, and then it brings focus back. It's disappointing, because you would hope that it would be right on it regardless of where it was focused, because my whole head is the center subject. So it's nice when you drop into the frame after pressing record, it picks up your eye straight away. I'm going to walk backwards and see if it remains in focus as I do. Hopefully I don't trip over even, because that would look pretty funny. So am I still in focus? I'm going to zoom in now on the computer so we can see if I am still in focus. How'd it go with autofocus? What do you think? The camera has 209 focus points, so wherever my eye goes, it should be able to pick it up. But we've already explored the challenges of that if the 209 don't work really well, then yeah, that's a challenge. Now, just hit in the light, so it's really overexposed. My ISO drops to 320 on an aperture of 22, but oh, it's staying on my eye. Are you getting dizzy? I'm about to fall in the lake. Blimey, I am pretty dizzy. Poof. There's a duck. Just here. If I hit the middle of the screen, it tracks the duck. Oh, and if I go off screen and then come back, it picks the duck back up. It picks the duck back up, but it doesn't pick me back up. Oh, there I am. Oh gosh. The tracking on the Z30, very questionable. Doesn't necessarily work like I found on the Z5 and the Z6. And I've heard about on the Z6 too and the Z7 too. Much better in the Z9, which I think will be translated through to the Z8, but I'm too close to you. Just do a little bit of a test. Let's put the aperture up to 22. You should never shoot aperture on 22 because of light diffraction. It makes all your images blurry, but we're not talking about images. Let's talk about video for a sec. So I've got my f22 and my ISO is on 2000. So what's the quality of this like? And the reason I ask is because the ISO ranges from 100 to 51,200, expandable to 204,800. Man, you'd only use that if you had no other option. But the Z30 uses a hybrid phase detection, contrast detection, autofocus system rated down by -4.5 EVs when using low light. That means the autofocus in low light should be really good. But if you're like me, you're like, oh, let's just go see if it works in low light. So what we're going to do is go into my garage. We're going to see how well the camera operates in low light. So I'm in my garage at the moment, which is quite echoey and extremely dark. To the naked eye, it's extremely dark. You can't see anything. I can see more through the screen on my camera than I can, like easily 4 times as much. And I'm sure I'm really noisy, but it has remarkable ability. It's not picking me up, is it? And there you go. I've just had a look in and the eye detect has me, but it can't focus anymore. So whilst yeah, isn't that interesting? Am I blurry? I can't even see. That's the problem. My eyes aren't great. You've got a smaller screen on this than the other Z cameras, and so you may struggle from time to time. But I like how it doesn't have the dangly bits off the side where the camera strap's attached, because they usually knock on the side of the camera, and it's terrible for vlogging. That's one of the issues I have with the Nikon ZFC. So the Nikon Z30, it solved that problem. But the big question is does it hold focus on your face when you need it to? So it's well worth us taking this out into the real world, wasn't it? Having a look at it. Pretty disappointing around the autofocus and the eye detect. However, they're firmware things that I think they will update as they come to terms with what this camera is used for and how it's used. The challenge of vlogging, of course, is you're in all sorts of unpredictable circumstances all the time. So whereas you might normally vlog to allow for light and so forth, you don't always get to do that when you're vlogging. So if it's a vlogging camera they're after, which it seems to be where they're pitching it at, they have to be able to meet those challenges with their eye detect and their autofocus. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was enlightening on a new little camera that might be the one that you've been waiting for and looking for. I'm going to use this as my vlogging camera from here on in, and I'm very excited about that prospect, especially because it has the flip out screen and all the other functions that this camera has. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. We've got a Facebook group if you would like to be part of that. It's about creative photography, so there'll be a link down below for that. If you want to join the channel or shout me a coffee or be kind or generous in any way, I'm always up for that. because I try and be that in my life. So it's nice to be part of that ecosystem. Hope this has been really helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.